Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk about Halloween Ends. Now this isn't exactly going to be a review, this is more so a video of three parts. Part 1 is my sort of kind of review on the movie, part 2 being more so like my opinion on the response to this movie, and then the third part being around the recent news about Danielle Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton, which I really want to talk about. Now, so let's kick off with the actual Halloween Ends movie discussion. I say it's three parts, but I mean it's one video. But you know, I'm going to be talking about all three topics. So Halloween Ends, in my opinion, was a good movie. I like it. I didn't hate it as much as some people. I didn't love it. Some people I think are really overboard with how much they love it. Like they're like, if you don't love this movie, you're not a Halloween fan. I'm sorry, but I don't have to love every single fucking thing in this franchise to be considered a fan. Do you like Halloween 4, 5, and 6? Do you like Resurrection? Do you like the fucking Halloween Atari 2600 game? Huh? Do you like that as well? Do you even know what an Atari 26 fucking hundred is? No? Alright then. Anyway, so Halloween Ends, in my opinion, feels like it was two movies fighting to be one. And stuff I liked I liked Corey Cunningham. I liked that about the movie. I thought he was a great character. I found his story really interesting. I was invested in it. But I feel like Halloween Ends should have been two movies, basically split into two parts. Some may say it wasn't already enough with Halloween Kills 2018 and Ends basically being like a three-parter anyway. At the same time, I don't think that was bad. Like having 2018 and Kills be like a two-parter that takes place in 2018, and then these two movies taking place in like 2022. I think something like that would have been cool. Basically, this is what I say. Corey Cunningham, I felt like that's the movie they wanted to make. But studio execs came in towards the end, were like, we need Michael in this movie. So they unceremoniously kill Corey off towards the end. I mean, really, at the end of the movie, he just, stabs himself and then Michael snaps his neck. And then we get a very rushed scene of Laurie and Michael fighting, and then, like an ending that just, it's like, oh, everything's happy, it's over. And to an extent, I like this ending. If this is the last time we ever see Laurie Strode, if this is the last time we ever see Jamie Lee Curtis in these movies, I'm fine with that. I don't think they should bring Jamie Lee Curtis back anymore. I'm happy with this being her ending. It's nice to have a timeline where she isn't dead. I'm glad they didn't kill her off. I didn't want them to, because she's dead in the H2O Resurrection timeline, where she gets killed by Michael at the beginning of Resurrection. She's dead in the Thorn timeline. She died in a car accident in that timeline. So it's nice that she's alive in the timeline. It's also nice that a timeline had an actual definitive end as well, considering 6 kind of ends on a cliffhanger and Resurrection ends on a cliffhanger. Anyways, so when they were doing the movie, I think the first 2/3 of the movie are pretty good. Pretty much everything from the beginning of the movie all the way up until Laurie faking her suicide, where her and Corey have their fight, I think is a pretty good movie. Has a couple, issues here and there, but then again, like all the Halloween movies that are in this timeline, I have issues with. 2018, Kills, Ends. I love Halloween Kills, though. I do love that movie. It's one of my favorites. I know a lot of people don't really like that one. I really love Halloween Kills. Anyway, so in Halloween Ends, I feel like had Halloween Ends, as I said, be split into two parts. Basically, you have Halloween Aftermath and Halloween Ends. Halloween Aftermath is the part 1. This is basically showing the aftermath of Michael's masterpiece. That night, October 31st, 2018, he's massacring both the 2018 movie and Halloween Kills. So this is the aftermath. The town is still recovering from all of that. People are killing themselves, like they were at the beginning of Halloween Ends, and people are dying. The police are trying to see if Michael's in some way connected to these murders. Basically, the town's looking for a new boogeyman, and Corey Cunningham unfortunately becomes that boogeyman. It would have made him just appearing feel a bit more organic instead of it being like the last part of this trilogy. We're just going to introduce a huge character right at the end. It was more so like this is a sort of spin-off movie that has a new, really important character. It would have felt a bit more organic, in my opinion. Anyway, so you have Corey Cunningham. By the end of the movie, Allison kills him. And, you still have stuff like he meets Michael lets him live. But you don't have moments where, he's beating the shit out of Michael, basically making Michael look weak. I don't think you should have put stuff like that in the movie because you shouldn't really show Michael as weak. So anyway, you have a lot of the movie play out the way it does, and then at the end, it's Allison that kills Corey, and then it's like, okay, this new boogeyman's dead, everything's back to normal. Michael has never come back. It's like maybe this was it. Michael's done, and the copycat killer's done. So you end the movie kind of like the original Halloween, and kind of like how Halloween ends, where you have the it's showing a bunch of empty rooms, but you start hearing breathing like you do in the first movie, and you see Michael, and he's on his way back to Haddonfield. Basically, like his job is not done; he is coming back. And then Halloween Ends is the Michael Laurie movie that we were sold on, because a lot of like the commercials, the trailers made it look like this was going to be a Michael Laurie final showdown type movie. Now, granted, a 2-hour movie of just two people fighting would have gotten old. I knew it was probably going to be a movie where Michael goes on a massacre, and then at the end he, fights Laurie, which was kind of more so what I was expecting, and I think a lot of people were, expecting. We didn't get that, and they didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to make it look like, okay, it's a copycat killer movie, because it would ruin the surprise. It was a pretty surprising moment when I found out Corey was actually going to be the killer, not Michael. Now, I can respect that they didn't want to spoil the movie for the fans. That's totally fine, but at the same time, you advertise this movie a certain way, and then when people were bummed out that it wasn't that way, you have people lashing out at them, which I think is so stupid. Anyway, so had Halloween Ends maybe not had Corey be like the main killer for the last Halloween movie, I think the movie would have gone over a bit better. Another thing as well is that I'm not too angry about the last Halloween movie not featuring much Michael Myers, because at the end of the day, there'll probably be more Halloween movies. I mean, like, evil never really dies, does it? It just changes shape, But, I think Michael should come back at some stage. Not this timeline, though. Make a new timeline, follow up on an old timeline. I mean, like, Halloween 6, you never really resolved a lot of the stuff with Halloween 6 or Resurrection. Michael is still alive in both timelines. Even continue off of Halloween 4, bring Jamie Lloyd back, bring Daniel Harris, and was it Ellie Cornell? Bring them back. Yeah, like I would be totally down for them revisiting the older timelines, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Halloween 5, 6, and Resurrection. I wouldn't be against them revisiting those ideas. Now, as for that, Halloween Ends, in my opinion, is a good movie. It's a good slasher. But here's where we get into part 2 of this video, which is the fan response. Now, people can love this movie, people can hate this movie. They're fully entitled to their opinion. People don't like that this was a movie that didn't focus on Michael. That's fair. At the end of the day, this is not the Laurie Strode franchise. I mean, like, come on, Jamie Lee Curtis at the end of the day doesn't really give as much of a fuck about this franchise as a lot of people think. She doesn't care for horror. She doesn't like horror. That's fine. She doesn't have to. That is totally understandable. This is, at the end of the day, Michael Myers' franchise. He is the face of this franchise in the same way Jason is the face of Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger is the face of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Laurie is a great character. A really great character. Is she my favorite final girl? No, I would say Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street is probably my favorite final girl. But Laurie's definitely up there. She's up there with Sidney Prescott. She's up there with Nancy. You know, like, fucking fantastic character right there. Now, the fan response is basically, you know, like, if you didn't love this movie, you're not a true Halloween fan. You're a Michael Myers fan. No, that's not how this works. There's so many people that love Scream 5, right? I think Scream 5 is disrespectful to the franchise. I think it's disrespectful to the legacy characters, and I think, you know, it's a pile of shit. I'm not going to call people that like Scream 5 not true Scream fans. I'm not going to say that just because they have a different opinion than me. And I think the same should be said with Halloween Ends. I liked the movie. A lot of people didn't. They can have that opinion. A lot of people loved it. They can have that opinion. They're not wrong for thinking either way. Halloween Ends gave some people what they wanted, others not what they wanted. I wanted Ben fucking Tramer. We didn't get Ben Tramer, right? I wonder how many fucking Halloween fans, true, and I say that with quotations, true Halloween fans even know who the fuck Ben Tramer is. Anyway, so so you have a lot of people being like, you know, if you don't like Halloween Ends, you're not a true fan. But again, at the same point, then you must be a fan of Halloween 4, 5, 6, both the theatrical and producer's cut, H2O, Resurrection, the fucking Atari 2600 Halloween game, you know, that fucking pixelated mic. Anyone ever watched the Angry Video Game Nerd play that game? Oh, fucking hell, that was a funny episode. Anyway, so the response to Halloween Ends has just been fucking stupid. It's been rotten. People just, it's a lot of fans showing their true colors that maybe they're not exactly Halloween fans. And look, Halloween Ends is still a movie I like. It's a movie I will definitely rewatch. I mean, when this gets released on 4K, you bet your ass I'm going to buy it. It looks like there's going to be an extended cut as well, because there's tons of footage that didn't make it into the movie by the looks of it, so I'll definitely watch the extended cut as well, like I did with Halloween Kills. I really do like this movie. But people that didn't, they can have that opinion. They didn't like it. Leave them the fuck alone. They're not haters. They're not like just Michael Myers fans. No, like at the end of the day, they're still fans. They just didn't like this movie. Is that so hard to wrap your head around? They didn't like this particular Halloween movie. Some people just haven't really been down with this trilogy at all, and that's also fine. You know, the response to this movie, I just, it's still funny how you just have people that are just so fucking, like, I guess pretentious about it. Like, oh, this movie really, like, it's really a deconstruction of slashers. No, it's not. At the end of the day, it's still a fucking movie about a guy in a mask going around fucking killing people. It's just not Michael. It's Corey. Halloween Ends still follows all the same traditional values of a Halloween and slasher movie. It's just that Halloween Ends was a bait and switch movie. Like, that's really it. It was still a good movie. It did touch on some, you know, it did have some social commentary about the effects of a huge, you know, basically a huge event happening in a town, and how people deal with the aftermath of it. Like, you know, there is some social commentary in there, like there has been for the other fucking modern Halloween movies. Kills had the mob mentality stuff, and you know, like, yeah, at, like at the end of the day, I'm not one of those people that like. I see so many people go back to old slashers and they laugh at them. They think they're goofy. They think they're stupid. I'm not one of those people. I respect the hell out of the slasher genre. I like treating it with some respect. There's some bad movies in the slasher genre. I mean, like, fucking hell. You know, there's fucking Jason X, there's Freddy's Dead, there's Halloween fucking Resurrection. Jesus Christ, that fucking movie. You know, there's some fucking terrible movies in the slasher genre, but there's also great ones. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter, Child's Play 2. You know, there's tons of great movies. There's other great movies I didn't even mention, but like, yeah, it sucks that so many people, I just feel like, disrespect the old, but then like basically suck off the new, and if you don't like the new, then you're not a true fan. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's so stupid. It's just so like, you're not entitled to call someone not a true fan just because they didn't like the movie. You're not entitled to telling people that they are and aren't a fan. That is called gatekeeping. Something that is typically looked down upon in fandom. So how come it's okay to gatekeep now? Why? Because it's Halloween Ends? This was a movie that was made to divide the fans. They've pretty much said that. I don't like that Hollywood seems to enjoy doing that now. I kind of like when a lot of us are on the same page. No, I'm not trying to say everyone should have the exact same opinion. That would get really fucking boring. But I mean, like, at the same time, I don't want to be in a fan base where everyone is just arguing with each other all the fucking time. It's not fun. It's why I kind of dipped away from the Walking Dead fandom. It was a lot of people saying, like, the new stuff was shit. Oh, the new stuff is great. You know, like, it got boring. It got tiresome. It got really fucking just miserable being a fan. And I don't want the same to happen with, you know, Halloween. But it looks like, you know, until the next Halloween movie comes out, this is probably what we're going to get with the Halloween fandom. And people poking the flame, trying to keep it alive, just trying to keep the arguments alive. You know, like, you're not helping anything. Like, just stop. And just the fact that there's so many, they're almost trying to make Halloween Ends into like a fucking political movement or something. Like, oh, this movie is misunderstood. Oh, this movie, if you don't like it, you're a certain fucking this or that. Like it's a fucking Halloween movie. I'm not trying to undermine Halloween and be like, oh, it's just a Halloween movie. I'm trying to just be like, why are you trying to make Halloween into some big fucking talking point? Some people liked it, some people hated it. Get over it. And then finally, the third part of the video I want to discuss is Danielle Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton. Now, for those unaware, Danielle Harris played Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5. Jamie Lloyd being the daughter of Laurie Strode. And she also played Annie Brackett in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. And ScoutTaylor-Compton played Laurie Strode in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. And she's also going to be playing a character in the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, which I'm really looking forward to that game. So, anyway, Danielle Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton. I've had huge love for Danielle Harris for a while now, and recently I've really grown to appreciate ScoutTaylor-Compton. Like, Danielle Harris, I just have a huge crush on as well, I'll admit that. But I heard about the red carpet event or whatever the fuck, the premiere night, you know, the after party, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Daniel Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton got to meet Jamie Lee Curtis, which is fucking awesome, you know, like, it's like, oh my god, Daniel Harris and Jamie Lee Curtis together, it's like something us Halloween fans have wanted for fucking years, you know? This was a moment to celebrate. You know, that picture came out, the one that has, Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in The Nightmare on Elm Street. Fuck, I forgot her name. The one that played Tina in A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, Tina had one of the best, like, death scenes in the franchise. Fuck's sake, that scene was grisly. You have ScoutTaylor-Compton, you have Jamie Lee Curtis, and you have Daniel Harris in the picture. Female legends of horror. Every single person in that picture, in their own right, is a horror legend, a horror icon. Heather Langenkamp, Jamie Lee Curtis being some of the most iconic final girls. Laurie Strode and Nancy Thompson. Tina, one of the most famous victims in horror. And then finally, ScoutTaylor-Compton, which, you know, like, I know a lot of people don't like Rob Zombie's Halloween. I don't particularly like that version of Laurie Strode. However, I can't deny that ScoutTaylor-Compton gave 110% in her performance, and she acted her ass off for both of those movies. And deserves some fucking props for them and some respect. And then Danielle Harris, she was a kid when doing Halloween 4 and 5. And she acted her fucking ass off in those movies. She was brilliant. And she was great in the Rob Zombie movies as well. These women are Halloween royalty, if anything. While people like Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter separated themselves from the Halloween fan base and franchise and kind of just wanted nothing to do with it, you had people like Danielle Harris who stuck with this franchise that wanted to be in Halloween 6 but got dicked over by studios. You know, like, she was fucked over by this franchise. Which, you know, like, and even then, she's still loyal to it. She's still, the amount of convention she does for Halloween, the amount of just love she gives this franchise. I don't know how you could dislike Danielle Harris. She is loyal to this franchise and has gained my love and support because not only did she put in a great performance in arguably one of my favorite Halloween movies, Halloween 4, you know, like, she pretty much carried Halloween 5 for me. I didn't like Halloween 5. I didn't like what they were doing to Dr. Loomis in that movie. That was probably not. This isn't the fault of Donald Pleasence. Donald Pleasence, again, acted his ass off, but, you know, the writing for Dr. Loomis in that movie was just fucking horrible. But, yeah, like, Jamie Lloyd and Danielle Harris pretty much carried Halloween 5 for me. And maybe it's for the best she wasn't in Halloween 6. Especially the producer's cut, but it's when ScoutTaylor-Compton and Danielle Harris met Jamie Lee Curtis at the event. Now, you probably heard about this in other videos that went into depth about this, but it was basically like, you know, Danielle Harris was like, "Oh, I played your daughter in Halloween 4 and 5," and like Jamie Lee Curtis was like, "I don't watch those movies. I don't know who you are." Which is a very cool thing to basically be like to someone. You know, the proper response would be, "Oh, I didn't watch those Halloweens, but like, that's cool." You know, like, thank you for you know, like, being a part of the franchise. You know, thank you for being part of the Halloween family. ScoutTaylor-Compton, like, she didn't really go into detail about what her interaction with Jamie Lee Curtis was like, but, from what I hear, she was tearing up on her podcast about it, because Daniel Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton do have a podcast, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. The name of it I will put up on screen right now. Anyway, so they, like, she got teary-eyed, and, like, it really does suck. And from what I heard, she wasn't very nice to Heather Langenkamp or teenage actresses either. And look, I get it. Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't like horror movies. That's fine. You don't have to. At the same time, manners cost nothing. Treat these people with a bit of fucking human dignity. Like, treat them with a bit of respect. These are also humans. These are people too. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis, maybe they're fucking lying. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't see why they would have a reason to lie. Especially because, again, if they really wanted to lie, they probably could have said a bit more harsher things about her, which they didn't. Again, ScoutTaylor-Compton didn't really go into detail about what her interaction was like, as she's fearful of getting basically no work in the future, basically getting cancelled, which is fucking horrible that she has to worry about that. Yeah, like, honestly, like, if they do make another Halloween movie, put Daniel Harris in it. Put ScoutTaylor-Compton in it. I'm good with Jamie Lee Curtis being done with this franchise. Again, I think I'm ready to move past Laurie Strode. I think she's had her time. That's great. She got her ending. I'm good with that. I think it's time to move on. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say on that. It really sucks that that was their interaction with her. Honestly, Daniel Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton have done more for this franchise. Because they give a shit. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis pretty much, she doesn't really care about this franchise. It's just more so like, I mean, she was there like being like, oh, I want to do H2O. Now she just looks back on H2O and was like, I did it for a paycheck. Well, that's nice. I liked H2O. H2O is my favorite of the Halloween sequels. I'm glad you look back at it so fondly. Thanks, but like, how long until you probably start shit talking these Halloween movies as well? Again, I still like Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she's a great actress. I love some of her movies. Pretty much every movie I've seen that had Jamie Lee Curtis in it, I've really enjoyed. But, well, except for Halloween Resurrection. um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, she can dislike horror, but like, maybe just be a bit nicer. Do I think Jamie Lee Curtis will ever talk about the interaction herself? I don't think so. I think she's just going to try to ignore this. And I feel like Daniel Harris and ScoutTaylor-Compton probably won't go into much more detail than what they've already done. I feel like they already don't like the fact that a lot of people have been talking about it, and in the unlikely chance ScoutTaylor-Compton or Daniel Harris watch this video, I'm really sorry I brought it up, but like, I think you guys deserved a bit more respect. Honestly, the amount you've done for the fans, not just the franchise but the fans, you've earned our support. At the very least mine. And I'm 100% on their side. And if Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't give her side of the story, then, like, really, I mean, like, it doesn't even matter if she gives her side of the story. The saying, there's three sides to every story. The one side, the other side, and then the truth. well, no, there's two sides to every story and then the truth, basically, something like that. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. It was a bit of a lengthy one. I apologize for that, but I appreciate everyone that stuck by and watched this long. I hope to do more videos in the future. Again, my YouTube channel is not dead. I will still do content. I just don't do Walking Dead content as much anymore. I will give my thoughts about The Walking Dead once the final episode has aired. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. If you're interested, I did recently do a video on the Doki Doki Literature Club Monica Nendroid. If you want to check that out, that video has been doing really well so far. I really appreciate that. And there will be more videos in the future. Thank you all for watching. Peace out. Have a great morning, day, afternoon, evening, dusk, whatever the fuck. Just have a great time.